What's good, everybody? This is Robo back with another video, and today I'm giving you my Week 2 college football picks. Couple really fun games this week, as well as a handful of tune-up games, and just like last week, I'm going to go ahead and give a pick against the spread for every game possible, as well as give a final score prediction. Here's how I've done so far, picking games in Week 0 and Week 1. Off to a really strong start thanks to a crazy Week 1 run. Hopefully we can build on that this week and keep crushing the picks. With that said though, let's go ahead and get started with Friday night. Indiana should take care of Indiana State easily. I was pretty impressed with their defense against Ohio State, and that should continue here, 42-6 Indiana. Kansas and Illinois should be a really good game tonight. Jalen Daniels should be good to go for Kansas, so I like them here against a solid Illini defense. I expect to play better. 27-23, I'll go with the Jayhawks. Saturday, we kick off with Wake Forest and Vandy. Wake's offense is going to be too much for the Vandy defense, especially in Winston-Salem. Give me the Demon Deacons, 38-24. Georgia gets another tune-up matchup against Ball State. I expect Carson Beck to look a bit flashier this week and get comfortable in the offense. Georgia should dominate here, 49-6. Ohio State looked rough offensively last week, and that'll change here against a much weaker opponent. I expect a much better quarterback play leading to a 52-0 shutout win. Penn State looked really solid in Week 1 and gets an easy matchup this week against Delaware. The offense should cook all game behind Drew Aller. Give me a 56-6 final. Notre Dame is one of the best teams in the country behind Sam Hartman. This is a tough road game early on, and they're going to be tested, but I think Notre Dame handles business in the second half and gets a 28-7 gritty win. Baylor is coming off an incredibly embarrassing Week 1 loss at Texas State, so no doubt they'll be fired up at home here, but Utah is just flat out the better team, and Cam Rising is back. Give me the Utes in this one, 31-20. Kansas State is a really solid team that I don't want to really disrespect, but this matchup's a bit tough as Troy can't be taken lightly. I think this is a bit of a game for a bit. I like Troy to cover in a 35-20 win for the Wildcats. Deion Sanders is the talk of the country right now, and Colorado is the most bet team of the week. That makes this game a bit sketchy, but I think Colorado is a stronger team than Nebraska. Give me the Buffs to cover this one, 34-27. Purdue made a ton of mistakes in the Week 1 loss to a solid Fresno State squad. I'm expecting a cleaner performance this week, and I'm not sold on Virginia Tech at all despite covering Week 1. Give me the underdog by a field goal, 27-24. This is a tough game for Virginia as James Madison is a really solid program and enters as road favorites because of it. Virginia might be missing Tony Muskett in this game as well. If he's out, it's hard seeing them win this game at all. And even healthy, I still like JMU 24-17. Clemson should be unbelievably hungry for payback after last week's awful showing against Duke. They should take out some aggression here, but it won't fix what was exposed last week. Give me Clemson big though, 52-3. Kentucky has one of the most underrated offenses in the country in my opinion. So many playmakers around Devin Leary. They can put up points in a hurry, so give me Kentucky to cover a huge spread, 45-10. Michigan might still be out a couple key defenders and just plays a slower tempo game in general. With all the new clock rules, I'm not sure they'll be putting up 50 points in this game, so give me UNLV to cover with Michigan winning 42-10. Tulane is a really good team, and so is Ole Miss, especially offensively. I think this one could be pretty high scoring, but I like Ole Miss to pull away with a close win on the road, 35-31. Miami and Texas A&M may give us the game of the week. The Miami defense is really good this year, and A&M has some exciting playmakers on offense. I think this one could be tight down to the wire, but give me A&M in a thriller, 27-24. Iowa State is typically an incredibly boring defensive game, and this year probably won't be much different, besides Iowa making improvements on offense, especially at quarterback. Give me Iowa to cover on the road in a close one, 23-17. Michigan State looked really solid in the second half after a really slow start last week, and they get a tune-up game here against Richmond before going up against Washington. Give me the Spartans 42-14 in a game that the offense rolls on. Northwestern UTEP may be the worst game of the week, but should end up a good one. Northwestern doesn't have many opportunities for wins this year, so they need to take advantage, and I think they do this week. I'll take the Wildcats in this one, 20-17. Syracuse was unbelievably sharp last week, and it was the exact opposite for Western Michigan. This Bronco team just isn't the same as ones in the past. I think Syracuse rolls all over them in this one, 44-17. Arkansas gets a tune-up game here against a Kent State team who just got destroyed by UCF, and the Razorbacks are just as good as them. Give me KJ Jefferson and Arkansas to get a blowout win here, 45-9. Washington is looking unstoppable on offense as expected, and that won't change this week against Tulsa. I'm taking Penix to add to his Heisman resume with an emphatic 49-13 win over Tulsa. Tennessee was absolutely dominant against Virginia, and this game will be even easier for them. I'm expecting 50 plus out of the offense this week. I'll take Joe Milton to have a career day and a 52-6 win. Drake May was solid in Week 1, and so was the UNC pass rush. This isn't the same App State as previous years, and if the UNC defense is that much improved as we saw last week, give me UNC big here, 41-20. Dillon Gabriel was elite in week 1, and that should continue against SMU. I think the Oklahoma offense is just too dynamic for SMU, and they come out on top 45-24, covering the 15.5 pretty easily. Duke was unbelievably impressive in the win over Clemson thanks to Riley Leonard and that defense, and the offensive line was fantastic as well. They get a tune-up game here against Lafayette and should handle business 42-7. This is West Virginia's chance to absolutely drill someone, as Duquesne is just a massively inferior opponent. The Mountaineers look better than I thought in week 1 against Penn State. Give me them to pick up the win here 49-10. FAU Ohio should be a fun mid-major battle, especially with Curtis Rourke as a game-time decision. If he plays, this could go in Ohio's favor, but if he isn't healthy or gets hurt in the game again, I like FAU 34-27. Cincinnati at Pitt should be a really good game Saturday night, with Emory Jones leading the way for Cincinnati. Pitt's defensive line is really strong, and I think that it'll end up being a difference maker in a close battle. I'll take Pitt 27-24 at home. Alabama-Texas is the game I'm most excited for this week. Jalen Milroe is someone I'm really excited about, and this is a huge game for him early on in the season. I'll take the Tide at home by 10, 34-24, in what could be an incredible game. Tyler Shaw will look for some revenge here against his old team in the Oregon Ducks, and even at home, I don't really see Texas Tech pulling this one off. That Oregon offense was unbelievably locked in last week, and I think it continues here. Give me Oregon in this one, 41-30. Missouri is no Alabama, especially defensively, but Middle Tennessee could not move the ball at all last week, and Missouri can score on the other end. I think Missouri covers, although it'll be a tight one, 35-13 over Middle Tennessee. UCF might be the real deal this year. They looked really sharp week 1, and John Reese Plumlee is a star. Boise State is a tough environment and a tough team to go up against, but I'll roll with Plumlee and the Knights by a touchdown, 34-27. Houston's coming off a big win thanks to the defense last week, and is just flat out better than Rice here. JT Daniels is a solid quarterback for Rice, but he can't do everything offensively. I like Houston to get the job done here, 34-20. LSU should be super hungry after a horrific second half performance. Hopefully they let Harold Perkins rush the passer this week. Give me the Tigers to get back on track in a massive blowout, 56-0. Wisconsin-Washington State is a really tough one to predict, as I expected better out of Wisconsin last week. Tanner Mordecai didn't look too great, and if he's turning the ball over, they won't win this game. I think he plays a bit cleaner though, and they get a close win on the road, 31-27, with the Cougars getting the cover. Florida should let out some aggression after public embarrassment last week against Utah, but this won't fix the issues they've got on offense. Regardless, give me the Gators big in this one, 48-3. Charlotte shouldn't be taken lightly, as they've got a strong defense with several high Division I transfers and will come ready to play in this one. Maryland is without question the better team though, and they'll get an easy win here, but I don't think they'll cover. Give me a final score of 34-13. Minnesota has a ton of talent at the receiver position, but I was not impressed with Ethan Kaliakmanis last week. Maybe the Nebraska defense is really good, but I think EMU can keep this one within 3 touchdowns. Give me Minnesota 30-13 on Saturday night. Mississippi State, Arizona should be a fun one, but I trust the Bulldogs a lot more than Arizona for sure. The scoring should be pretty high, but give me Mississippi State to win and cover 34-23. What a win from Rutgers last week to get out to a 1-0 start to the year, and I think they've got a good shot to make that 2-0 against Temple this week. It's not an easy matchup at all, but they should get it done, 24-14. South Carolina's offensive line was abysmal last week, but it should have a better performance here. The offense will score a ton with Rattler and his weapons, but Furman is not an awful team. I still think the Gamecocks will roll with a 45-10 win. If Dante Moore starts, I like UCLA in this matchup. If Ethan Garber starts, SDSU might keep it somewhat close. I think Chip Kelly will use all the quarterbacks in this one, so it's hard to predict against the spread, but I'll go with UCLA 34-17 as just the better team in this matchup. TCU might be the hungriest team in the country after last week's embarrassing loss. They'll be coming out for blood here against Nicholls. Give me TCU big in a bounce-back game, 56-3. Frank Gore Jr. is a fantastic back, and I think he'll find a way to score in this one, but that's about it. FSU is absolutely nasty on both sides of the ball, and they should dominate here, 56-7. I really like this Oregon State offense. They should put up a ton of points before pulling the starters in this one. DJU and Martinez behind that offensive line is a recipe for success all season. Give me the Beavers in this one, 42-10. Stanford's new look offense should be able to score this week, just like it did last week. USC's defense isn't too strong, and Caleb and the offense score way too fast. That should allow Stanford enough offensive momentum to score enough to cover the spread, but give me USC 48-24. Don't sleep on Cal. They had a dominant win last week despite a lot of bets against them. This should be a good one as it's at Cal, but that environment is nothing Auburn hasn't dealt with before. Auburn is the better team in this one as well, so I'll take Auburn close, 28-24. I like Jaden Rashada, but I'm not a fan of the rest of this ASU squad. Oklahoma State's not a good team by any means either, but I think they pull out a win as the better team on the road. Give me a final score of 30-24. Hawaii should be able to get their first win of the year here. Albany isn't a bad team, but Hawaii's offense has played well, and it's just too good for Albany to keep up with. Give me the Rainbow Warriors 35-17 in the final game of the week. That's it for my Week 2 picks. Let's hope for another strong week, as well as some really fun football to watch. Other than that, thanks for watching this video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.